Hello. In my last YouTube video on Robert Browning, My Last Duchess, I discussed in detail the text of the poem. I tried to make an interpretation of the poem. In this video, I am going to discuss 15 MCQ questions from that text. These questions are very important and going to be very helpful for the students who are preparing for West Bengal SLST examinations and the students who are preparing for NET examinations. The first question is, her mantle laps over my lady's reached too much. What is the meaning of the word mantle in the poem? The options are a bracelet, a handkerchief, a cloak, and the fourth option is a shelf. The answer is a clock. Question number 2. Which of the following plays offers the setting in Browning's My Last Duchess? The options are London, Paris, Innsbruck, and Ferrara. The right answer is Ferrara. We know that Innsbruck and Ferrara, these two towns are mentioned in the poem, and the poem is based on Ferrara, which is also the epigraph of the poem. What does the Duke mean by her, that is the Duchess looks went everywhere? The third question. The options are she was too easily distracted by things and therefore did not pay enough attention to the Duke. Option 2, she suffered from amblyopia causing her eyes to look in different directions. Option 3, she was tempted by other men and very unfaithful to the Duke. The last option is she was overly cautious and her eyes were constantly scanning for danger. The right answer is the third option, though we find that the Duke is very much mistaken to read the eyes of the Duchess here. Question number 4. The portrait of the Duchess was painted by, the options are Claus of Innsbruck, Fra Pandolf, Harris Smith, and Neptune. The answer is Fra Pandolf. In the poem, there was the mention, the Duke says that Fra Pandolf's hand worked busily a day, and the result is the beautiful portrait of the Duchess. Next question. Which of the following structure is used in the poem My Last Duchess? The options are rhymed iambic pentameter, free verse, unrhymed iambic pentameter, and Alexandrine. The option is the right option is rhymed iambic pentameter. The poem My Last Duchess consists of a single stanza. 28 rhymed iambic pentameter lines are used in the poem. প্রসঙ্গত বলে রাখি, Alexandrine is iambic hexameter lines. Question number 6. Then all smiles stop together. Which of the following figures of speech is used in the above line? Transferred epithet, euphemism, metaphor, onomatopoeia. The right answer is euphemism. Euphemism is a figures of speech where something harsh is told in a very agreeable manner, in a very sugar coated way. Transferred epithet is it's called hyperlage, where an epithet, that is an adjective denoting a special quality, is transferred from one particular thing to another one. Metaphor is again figures of speech where two dissimilar things are compared in a very implicit way, and onomatopoeia is a figures of speech where the sound echoes the sense. Okay. Next question. The painter Fra Pandolf's first name, Fra refers to a man connected to politics, a man connected to the church, a man connected to painting, and a man connected to education. The right option is a man connected to church. So it is very unusual in the poem that the Duke appointed a man connected to the church for paint her lady, because in that case the risk factor is very low, and it shows the possessiveness, the jealousy of the Duke. Question number 8. What is the name of the would-be wife of the Duke in Browning's My Last Duchess? The options are Lucrezia, Barbara, Lucrece, Helen. The right option is Barbara. So the Duke is going to marry Barbara, the niece of the Count of Tyrol, and Lucrezia is actually the name of his last Duchess. Next question. Notice Neptune, though taming a seahorse. Neptune is, the options are the sea, the god of sea, the god of love, the god of marriage, and the god of the art of sculpture. The option is the god of sea. So we find in the poem Neptune taming a seahorse. Here Neptune is equated with the Duke and the seahorse is with the Duchess. Okay, and the Duke always loves to taming the wives. Question number 10. In Browning's dramatic monologue, My Last Duchess, who is the listener? The options are Fra Pandolf, Clause of Ainsburg, Lucrezia, Nicholas Madruge. We all know that in dramatic monologue, a listener is very important, because the speaker penetrates to the depth of his own heart, but he actually expresses those things to a listener who never speaks a word, a silent listener. Okay, all these four অপশনস যাদের কথা বলা হচ্ছে এখানে সবাই কিন্তু পোয়েমটার মধ্যে আছে, বাট এখানে আলটিমেটলি দ্য অপশন ইজ নিকোলাস মাদ্রুজ, আলটিমেটলি দ্য emissary who went to negotiate in the marriage between the Duke and the niece of Tyrol, Barbara. Okay, Fra Pandolf is actually the painter who painted the Last Duchess. Okay, Clause of Ainsburg is actually the man who cursed the statue of Neptune taming a seahorse, okay, in bronze for the Duke, and Lucrezia is the name of the Last Duchess. Question number 11. Under which title was the poem initially published? The options are My Next Duchess, My Last Duchess, Italy, France. The right answer is Italy. We all know that the poem was published in 1842 and at that time it had the title Italy. The present title, My Last Duchess, was given to the poem in the year 1849. Next question. On which historical figure is the Duke in the poem based? The options are Cosimo I de' Medici, Duke of Tuscany, Lorenzo de' Medici the Magnificent, third Philip II of Spain, and fourth Alfonso II d'Este, Duke of Ferrara. The right answer is the fourth option, that is Alfonso II, the fifth Duke of Ferrara, who is actually based, okay, the Duke of the poem is loosely based on this figure. Question number 13. How does the Duke describe the Duchess' smile in My Last Duchess? The options are as genuine and sincere, as flirtatious and seductive, third as artificial and fake, and the last option is as shy and demure. The right answer is the second one, that is as flirtatious and seductive. And this is how we find that the Duke ultimately misunderstood the Duchess' smile. Okay, the Duke always wanted the Duchess' smile to be as shy and demure. Next question: what is the significance of the Duke's gesture of pointing to the portrait of the Duchess in the poem? The options are: first, it emphasizes his love for the Duchess; second, it reveals his admiration for the painter who created the portrait; third, it symbolizes his control over the Duchess even after her death; and the fourth option is it highlights the Duke's artistic and cultural interest. The right answer is it symbolizes his control over the Duchess even after her death. And the phrase of the poem which ultimately leading us to this answer is that the Duke uses that none has the permission to open that portrait. Okay, so it symbolizes his control, okay, rather than his love, genuine love to the Duchess, rather than his admiration for the painter, okay, who is only given a single day to portray the lady. And even the Duke was present in that session, and the last option, that it's never that symbolizes the Duke's artistic and cultural interest, though the Duke always again and again mentions the name of the painter, or rather towards the end of the poem we find that he names the man who ultimately cast that statue of Neptune taming a seahorse, okay, the Clause of Innsbruck, okay, in order to impress the imagery, to show that he is very artistic and he has cultural interests. The last question is: this grew, I gave commands. What does the phrase "this" refer to in the poem? The options are: the gesture of courtesy on the part of the Duchess to others, the Duke's jealousy, the Duke's interest in art, and the Duchess' reluctance to the Duke. The right answer is the gesture of courtesy on the part of the Duchess to others. It is the gesture of the Duchess to smile to everyone, to praise everyone, okay, the works of everyone. So this is ultimately which are disliked by the Duke, and the Duke ultimately gave the command to kill the Duchess. These are only 15 questions, but as you all know, numerous MCQs can be framed from the poem. For that, you need to read the poem in every detail. You need to understand each words and each phrases, allusions and figures of speech of the poem. For that, I have a separate video on that poem. The link is in the description box. You may go to that link to understand the poem in detail. In my next video, I am going to discuss WB's Wild Swans at Cool. If you find it interesting, then you may subscribe my channel and press that bell icon so that you can get the notification when I upload any videos. Thank you for watching the video.